Hi everyone, this is Sam with your Proof Daily NFT Countdown, the charts, pictures, stories that matter most every day. 5 quick stories for you today. The first is that Artifact with CloneX provided an update and gave new burn mechanisms for their pods. Just to give a little bit of background, the loot pod and the space pod were both dropped to all holders almost a year ago. So a long time ago, the prices got up to 1 ETH for the loot, maybe 2 ETH for the space pods. But really, they've kind of just sat around in that 0.3, 0.5 range. What we saw them do was create these new burn mechanisms where you can put together, different space pods, different loot pods, and create something new. Who really knows? I think these assets were kind of just sitting there. And with all the hype around burns, it just creates some fun and excitement, some mystery, anticipation. Seems like a good idea. Can't really tell in these charts because the big picture in these charts is that the prices come down. But you did get a little bit of a bump in the loot pods. Very small bump in space pods, so mildly positive news here. This was part of a larger roadmap that Artifact laid out. They basically just said that they're going to take things slow, put in really quality effort. They said slower, better together. And then at the end of the day, they're going to focus on a big in real life event towards the end of the year where Project Animus, which we heard a little bit about with the eggs that they dropped, is going to get launched. So nothing imminent. Overall, I think this ecosystem has had a bit of a struggle, like many have. This chart here looks at kind of the overall prices. CloneX got below 5 for a minute. It'll be interesting to see if this can bring a little bit of life back into the Artifact ecosystem. Story number 2 is that the sewer pass prices pop. We've been talking about Yuga a lot. We've been talking about sewer passes a lot, but you kind of got to keep talking about it when they're doing 8,000 ETH of volume in a single day, more than double the second biggest collection. And it's all on OpenSea and X2Y2. So this is all royalty paying volume. It's not just been high volume though. The prices have really popped. This here looks at the prices of all the different tiers. You can see that tier 1, tier 2 are both at all-time highs. Tier 3, tier 4 are basically at all-time highs outside of like the first 20 minutes post mint. There were a couple things that happened. Jimmy.eth swept a bunch of them. He's been kind of buying and selling, but you can see here that he swept a lot of tier 2s, swept a lot of tier 3s. The other thing that's happening is that people are playing the game a lot. One thing that's interesting to track is how much ApeCoin is being used, because in order to get certain power-ups, you have to spend ApeCoin, which ultimately gets burned. You can see it's been 106,000 ApeCoin already burned. Very, very small relative to the billion ApeCoin that exist, but still nice proof of concept for Yuga. Nice proof of concept that this token can get burned, can be useful, and just clearly, I think one of the best windows in the fact that people are playing the game a lot. Just talking to a couple friends of mine, they say that top tier players, so you have gamers who are charging 3 ETH in some cases to play this game on your pass, get a score of 400,000 or higher. So there's a whole economy that's evolving around this. I think people just realize that when Yuga drops NFTs, they normally do it pretty well. There's going to be an NFT coming probably around August 15th. We think it hasn't been 100% for certain. The higher scoring passes are going to get the better NFTs. So there's certainly a market forming around that. Story number 3, I don't like to be negative, but sometimes negative stories happen and you got to talk about it. So the Porsche mint flopped. Porsche launched an NFT idea a little while ago and they've kind of been building up. They wanted to do 7,500 NFTs over the course of this mint, the mint price, which they only recently announced. They have the 911 car. They made the mint price 0.911 and only 1,485 sold out of that 7,500, and the floor is 0.9. Overall, had a really ambitious target, and it just didn't quite hit. 80% haven't even sold yet. I think this is the wrong time, the wrong market to raise $11.2 million, which is what they were ultimately targeting to do. I always think with these projects, we saw with Adidas and G Money, I think having NFT native ambassadors is really, really important. The community is pretty small, and to get them familiar and believing that your project is in it for the long haul, if you're going to charge, $1,300 for an NFT, I think, one that you position as a utility NFT, I think you really do need a roadmap. I think you need to make it clear to people what's going to be involved here. People have just lost too much money spending up for NFTs where they didn't know what the plan was, didn't know what was going to happen, didn't know how provenance would be created, how the brand would associate with the NFTs. And I think people want more now. I was looking at the Porsche Twitter, the official Twitter account for the company. They didn't even tweet about this mint. So just didn't really feel like, the things that were aligned, that you wanted to be aligned were there. And that was unfortunately a pretty bad mint. Just to talk about what's happening today, a couple of stuff already has happened. Toshies on OpenSea, the mint was 0.0369. The floor is already 0.25. Now, I don't know a lot about this project. I got to dig. I just thought this was notable because OpenSea mints, haven't been this hot in the past. So nice to see them spot, kind of put one on their front page that ended up going really, really well. A nice 7X for anybody who got into that. The second thing is Terrell Jones. Terrell Jones is an artist from Detroit, super up and coming artist. He's doing a 1 of 200 today for this Pepecondo image for 0.025 ETH. Anybody who owns it will be in the raffle to get this 1 of 1 of his. Why is this important? I'd say he's on fire right now. This is some of his work, some of the 1-on-1s he's sold. He's gotten prices of 17.69 ETH, another for 16 ETH. Really cool look. One thing I love about Terrell Jones is he has some 1-of-1s that actually work as PFPs as well. Just a really cool artist, and excited to see this go forward. And the very last thing for today is big sales over the past 24 hours. Only 2 I'm going to talk to you about. The first, again, nobody.eth is leading every single day. This guy is making the biggest purchase. I looked at his purchases. He spent something like 3,800 ETH over the past 2 months. I think he spent over 40 million on NFTs over the past year, looking at just running the numbers on monthly purchases for him. He bought a mega Koda here, another deed for 155 ETH. He said in this tweet that this was his 10th mega Koda. Congrats to him. It is nice to have some of these guys who have a lot of funds available and just love NFTs. Like, the more of these guys we can have, the better. Congrats to nobody, and congrats to the seller on this sale. A ringer is here, sold for 31.5 WETH. This, to me, it just happened an hour ago. It looks like a stolen asset. The floor price hasn't been at 31.5 for a very long time. So I was really surprised to see this sale. It strikes me as a stolen good. We'll see what happened there. And then the last thing is a Meridian, sold for 15.5 ETH, against a Meridian floor of about 10 ETH right now. So this was more than a 50% premium. There's this newsprint type of Meridian, which is what made it more of a grail. You can see that some of these sales here have been as high as 48.88 ETH. So generally a grail trait for a Meridian, and your 15.5 ETH, not a bad buy for that. That's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please like it. Please comment. Tell us what you did like. Some things I know you guys want more of is talking more about the future, try to talk about more mints. We're going to do more of that going forward, but really appreciate you guys watching, and we will be back tomorrow and every weekday with the countdown. Have a good day.